Now, we're talking about players who have overachieved this season. And we talked about offensive players earlier. Now we're going to talk about defensive players. And when it comes to overachievement on defense, the first and maybe the only name that we can talk about is Darius Washington. Again, it was just super impressive what he did this season. And let's just talk about his ability to be multiple, his ability to be excellent, and his ability to be reliable.
He's awesome and smart, but in a good way.
And these are things that the Ravens really needed in that safety position, and he was able to provide it. And I think next year, when he's actually ingrained into the scheme of the team, the scheme is built around mainly two players. Kyle Hamilton, of course, he's the best player on the defense, and Roquan Smith, the second best player on the defense. Darius Washington played so well that you have to figure out how to have a multiple defense with two multiple safeties, because Darius Washington may be the third best man coverage player we had on our defense for the entire year. And so let's talk about some of the things that made him great, and we'll talk about the numbers first. When it comes to a Pro Football Focus saw, and again, Pro Football Focus, we're using it because they are the official statistic partner of the NFL. They use them in rankings. They use them when they talk about it. And when we talk about it, we'll talk about him having the fifth best coverage grade of any safety in the NFL at 86.1. And then on top of that, he was the eighth best safety in the NFL with an 80.9. This basically means that the Ravens are one cornerback away from being the unquestioned best defensive backfield in the entire NFL. Darius Washington is eighth best. Kyle Hamilton was second best. You throw in, of course, Marlon Humphrey, which I believe was a top 5 corner this year. Nate Wiggins is going to get better next year. And then you add one good corner to replace Brandon Stevens, and you have a great backfield. It's not a coincidence that when Darius Washington was able to get more time in the safety position, that our defense shored up, because he was excellent all season long, really found his stride when it came to that deep safety position that can interchange with Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton, of course, is excellent wherever he was, but Darius being his running partner really helped the defense just cement as a whole, and it was impressive to see. Darius has the ability to play zone. He has the ability to play the slot cornerback position. He has the ability to guard people as a safety. And maybe most impressive to me, just excellent at coming up and making tackles as the smaller defender. Time and time again, he came up and made pivotal tackles. And it's something that I think the safeties for the Ravens do really well, even the cornerbacks, but just never really missing tackles on a consistent basis. We saw him make big defensive plays with his shoulders, not just with his head and with his hands. He was excellent, and I was really proud of him and happy for him, because he just keeps on continuing to grow and grow. And it's one of the Ravens stories that you love to see. A player who's not highly touted coming into his own and really becoming one of the best players on our entire defense. Right now, I will really only put 3 defensive players that we have clearly above him, but everybody else, he's even better than them, or it's fair game for us to have a conversation about. Super impressive, super excited to see what he does in the future. And if I were Eric DeCosta, I would give him a Bateman deal, a deal that is respectful to him and, his 1 year of impressive play, but allows the Ravens to kind of have some solidarity at that safety position going into the future. Next, we're going to talk about the second player on defense who I think is overachieved this year. And really, the numbers don't really say it. And it could be partly because of the position and just partly of the depth at this particular position. But I'm going to say Travis Jones really played excellently this entire season. In my opinion, was the best interior defensive lineman for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, again, I do say Michael Pierce had a great season. If it wasn't injured, some of it would have been the best in my opinion. But Travis Jones played, was consistent, was able to do some great things in the passing game and the running game. Outplayed Madubuike in my opinion, and really just had a season where he solidified his reign, and it showed the Ravens and the NFL that he is coming and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And this is exactly what the Ravens need, exactly what the Ravens want, and helps the Ravens not get worse at an interior defensive line position when a player like Michael Pierce eventually gets older. We know that the Ravens are a stop-the-run first type of defense, and Travis Jones really showed that he can do that and he can actually anchor it down. And again, just a star in the making. When we look at Pro Football Focus and what they say about him, he had the highest rated grade of any Ravens interior lineman on defense, and again played the most snaps of his entire career, and was also his highest rated grade and was the 27th best defensive interior lineman in the entire NFL. Now, just to be honest with you guys, and I always try to be honest with you guys, I think there's a giant gap between number 1 in overachievement and number 2 in overachievement for the defense. I think Darius Washington is so high and above any player coming into this season from expectations to what he actually provided that this defensive list was a little hard to make. So there are other players on defense that I think you can even consider having great seasons. Like Kyle Van Noy, for example, is one of them. But Kyle Van Noy was also a great pass rusher last season as well. So I really do think Darius is number 1 cleanly. But if I had to choose number 2, it would be Travis Jones. Because when it comes to the eye test, what I saw, he was the best interior defensive lineman. And again, provided that run-stopping pizzazz that we saw. When it comes to being a flashing player where he's able to go and make flashing plays, he was the number 1 person on the interior defensive line. So I wanted to give him a shout-out. But again, Darius Washington is number 1 with a bullet. So again, thank you guys for watching. Remember, subscribe, like. We need you guys to grow, and I'm going to build something here that is going to be awesome, and I promise that you guys are going to enjoy it. Thanks, and go Ravens.